Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News to have a look again at Nigeria's troubled electoral process and what needs to be done to make it better ahead of the next general elections in 2023. We are now being joined here in Lagos by MIKE IGINI, the INEC Resident Electoral Commissioner in Akwa Ibom State. MIKE IGINI, welcome to the morning show.
Good morning,
Dr.
sir.
Ruben, it's my pleasure to be on your panel.
Thank you for joining us.
I always admire your job. You're doing a great job for our country.
Thank you.
So thank you very much.
Well, let's go straight to business.
Right.
You were once quoted as having said that in Akwa Ibom State, they don't hold elections. They just write results. Well, I don't know at what point you made that statement, maybe when you were still in Cross River, but now you are in Akwa Ibom State. Are you saying that before you got there in Akwa Ibom State were not duly elected? And now you've had elections also under your watch, the most recent on Saturday. So are you also saying that this last Saturday in Akwa Ibom, you as the resident commissioner just wrote the results and that no true election took place?
Thank you very much. I think in this country, the role that individuals have played at whatever age you are is well known. Your humble self, for instance, your writings over the years are well documented. And so, history is really the graveyard for contending opinions. A number of us fought for democracy. Some of our colleagues were not lucky enough. They died in the cause of fighting for democracy. When the journey of Nigeria and the prospect of democracy was less certain. And so, having fought for democracy as a student union leader, and we are back to democracy, we must do everything standing tall and mighty in defense of this democracy. The greatest challenge we are having in our country today is that those who didn't fight for democracy, those who told the people of this country when we're fighting the military that if military is disgraced or asked to leave, Nigeria as an entity will not survive. Regrettably, painfully, those same class of people took over democracy when it came back. Except the Southwest region, the people of a class of their own. But from the part I come from, the South, one of the most marasmic political zones we have in the country. That was not what happened. And so, since 1999, the elections that we have been conducting, and you all know very well, my views on so many issues are known. There's nothing I'm going to say today that I've not said before. I have written, I have spoken. That the whole embrace of democracy, why we fought for it, was because it brings about participation and accountability in the process of human development. And that key to democracy is periodic election. That periodic election is a moment for national renewal. It's a moment where policies that have been put in place over a certain period of 4 years by people now gives opportunity for the people to renew that. And so it's an opportunity for the people to exercise their residual autonomy, having granted some part of their sovereignty to a body of persons. And so, democracy, to survive, it requires that elections must not be an organized crime. It must be a process of bringing about people who can administer public affairs. But over the years, effort to get this thing properly done, particularly given the effort we have started making from 2011, it'll be met with stubborn resistance by the political elite, who are presently the greatest threat to the greatness of Nigeria. Because you all know that everything rises and falls with leadership. If you get the leadership question right, the speed with which Nigeria will attain greatness will be that of like the speed of a rocket. And so, to narrow down to the questions you have raised, we have looked at election after elections. As a matter of fact, we're looking at our own history. You all know very well, even the first election in 1959, we'll be having problems. But to come back to the current democracy we are practicing, and the comment I made, which is correct, and I have all the fact, about the election, political class not wanting to have proper elections, like people want to go to heaven, but they are afraid of death. Death is a condition to go into heaven. Politicians prefer chaos rather than orderliness. There's a fact that politicians are not ready for good elections. They attack the process. They want to take over it. I was brought on board with Professor Akwa Ibom in 2010 by the former president. And I've had the privilege again of being appointed by another president, the current president, to midwife the democratic process. When we came on board, we started introducing innovation to address historical challenges of election service delivery in our country. You all recall that when we came on board in 2010, following the profound recommendations by the US panel that the government itself rejected. You remember there was no white paper that accepted the US recommendation. You know, people keep talking about US recommendation, US recommendation, US recommendation. But the key recommendations to transform the process were not even accepted. Waka was the Attorney General at that time. Late Dora Akuyuli, they basically rejected everything. But thank God, when the president then appointed Professor Akwa Ibom, who was also a member of that committee, Professor Lai Olorode, my humble self, one of the youngest among them, we were clear that looking at the commission and the background where we come from, that if we are able to have a system in place that can guarantee the leadership recruitment process, it will be well for our country. And if it is well for the hunter, it will be well for the hunter's bag. And that's what we need to do, is to change the narrative. And so, it was a conscious effort of the commission itself that started implementing various aspects of ways, but not government. They rejected everything. Under Andwaka, who sat as the head of the panel, what was the first thing? You all know very well that we had a very fraudulent register of voters before. The foundation of any credible election must start with a credible register of voters. And we said we are going to go biometric. That why can't we avail ourselves of the benefit of modern technology? Years ago, the internet was the mystical province of the physicists. But today, a commonplace encyclopedia. When we decided that we were going to have biometric, Dr. Ruben, what happened? Politicians refused. That they want to stay back with the old register And what is the result of the old register? You know, that was the register we had Mike Tyson, we have foreigners on our register of
Whitney
voters.
Houston, Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson, they had all of that because it was purely manual. That's why I feel very disappointed with my colleagues in the bench who are now utilizing manual. My colleague, the bench, up to the Supreme Court. And so, why will politicians resist a biometric compilation register? That was the first problem the Jagan leadership had to contend with. But we all know that when people who are imbued with public goodwill, with a vision, come together, they are unbeatable. There's nothing that they cannot achieve. And so, we went ahead. And thank God, the government was also amenable to embark on that expensive project of biometric registration. Because the old register, politicians have already found out, they are already in control. You find that in constituency, they have removed the names of people. They are also in custody of the voters card. Voters card. Because at that time, there was no security at all. So they were housed on the voters card on election day. In fact, when they feel that this area is an area of strong opponent, you won't have access to the voters card. That was why they resisted the conversion of biometric register, where individual voters complete indicia, information about you, everything will be contained therein. We succeeded. After that success, then we had what we call TVC. You remember what we call TVC? Temporary voters card. And we announced to the nation that look, after the TVC, we are going to have what we call the PVC, the permanent voters card. That will come in 2015. But guess what? By the time we are bringing PVC, politicians resisted. They said, no, they must use the TVC, which is ordinary paper, so they can make photocopy of that. We had to fight again. Ruben, it is all fight, up to where we are. The point being made here is that when you have a rigged register, ab initio, we have a problem. But we solve that problem through the biometric process, and we say, look, following that, we are going to have the card readers. I was one of those sent on a mission to make a study in South Korea. We wanted to know why the difference between North Korea and South Korea. If I look around the office here, most of the gadgets we are using here, they are probably from South Korea. What's the difference? We went there. And right there, we asked questions. How come South Korea have got to this level? They said, look, we've listened to some of us, that everything we said about our country was the situation in their own country. That by the time the military left in South Korea, you know, military also had those experiences of military rule. And by the time democracy was coming to South Korea, that those who were with the military took over. And what happened? Just as the misbehavior you are seeing around today by our political class, messing up the process, that was what was going on. The consequence was election in 1962 that was so manipulated that the entire infrastructure of the electoral management body in South Korea was burned down. From the ruins of that, we decided that in South Korea, for the purpose of national integration, because in South Korea, to say you want to be a leader, it is not about talking about the differences. But
you've spent a lot of time blaming the political elite.
Yes.
Heaping all the blames on the political elite. But many Nigerians insist that the problem with the electoral process has to do with INEC itself.
Suffering to also be an independent institution.
Causes more problems than it provides solutions to our problems in terms of deepening the democratic process.
Yes.
The example of Imo State, we discussed that yesterday.
Yes.
And even in the elections you organized in Akwa Ibom last Saturday.
Yes.
There were issues in Isienwudim local government area.
Fantastic.
Yeah, but you ended up defending the security agencies that they did their best, but nobody was convinced that that election was well managed.
You need to listen to me now. And so, the point to narrow down to all the current issues here is that the problem we are having have to do with the political class.
You are insisting.
Back again to the political class. All the syllabus of error we are talking about now emanate from political class, but I now take them one after the other. So much reform, but how much have we reformed in terms of the political class? And so, when I was, after my appointment, confirmed by Senate, and I wrote a letter was written, I was posted to Akwa Ibom State. And the first thing I normally do when I get to anywhere is to understand the history of that place in terms of the performance. And from all the reports that I have, having worked in neighboring Cross River State, it was clear that in Akwa Ibom, they don't write, the elite there, they don't do election properly called. They write results. And how do they do that? They look for anybody they can compromise, particularly the office of the REC. They want to have the result sheets. On election day, they write the results and they announce those figures. They are not used to doing proper election. And what I'm saying here, traditional rulers, religious leaders, you go and do investigation and you will confirm what I'm telling you. They don't do election. So when I came, I was clear to them that under my watch, it will be the will of the people that will govern. Because in a democracy, the ballot is the best means of expressing the will of the people. I set up a committee to investigate the location of polling units in the entire 31 local government of Cross River State.
Akwa Ibom State.
Akwa Ibom State. 31 local governments. That exercise was ordered by the commission. When I was in Cross River State, it was not carried out in Akwa Ibom. What was our finding? 23 polling units were in private homes, even in the premises or the palace of one traditional ruler. The reports, committee panel report was sent to Abuja. And what do we have to do? Because a REC has no power to create unilaterally or to relocate polling units. You have to call stakeholders because polling units are electoral monuments. At that meeting held at Ibom Hall, I invited all stakeholders, past governors, sitting governor. All of you should come. Because, and that took place on the 6th of August 2018. I arrived on the 5th of September 2017. And I was clear to everybody. And the hall that was filled to the brim, the hall was filled up. Because I made that announcement. On the slide, they're showing the location, the buildings, those that are in the bush, where on election day, the materials given to poll officials, they take them to those places and they write results.
So INEC is complicit?
Of course. I am one of those who have already criticized INEC before I was brought in. That INEC itself have been complicit on that. There's no question about that. But what is important, that every civilization has a primitive past. So INEC has its own terrible past. But the good news is that since 2011, INEC is the most improved organization in Nigeria because of so many that we have done. The challenges we are now having is coming from the elite. And so, that is the situation in Akwa Ibom, 23 polling units. And I told them, they are now going to be taken to public places, accessible to everybody. And that in this state, by 2019, ballot papers will be in the 2,980 polling unit. That ballot paper and result sheet will be there. And I call on everybody, get your video camera and go to the place to ensure that that is done.
Okay, let's break it down.
And that's what we did.
Let's break it down. Many people in Akwa Ibom State,
Yes.
they accuse you of being pro-PDP, that you are a partisan resident electoral commissioner, and that you have issues with Senator Godswill Akpabio, they allege, because when Senator Akpabio moved from PDP to APC, you refused to go with him, and you remain a PDP person. Is this true or false? I know you say it's false. Then just to give you feedback.
That is wholly incorrect. It's not new. What the question is not even new. It is wholly incorrect. You see, when somebody wants to tell lies, he always say that he witnesses are in heaven. Let me tell you, my commitment in terms of absolute neutrality, having taken an oath, like the Roman, who will normally abide by his oath of office, I can never, it will never happen, be partisan or be pro this or pro that. As a matter of fact, when I was in Cross River State, in fact, the record is that they claim that I am against PDP. That has always been the record. I am against PDP. PDP led protests to my state and to my office in Cross River. Why? They said, Igini is encouraging opposition to survive, to take over in Cross River State. And I told them, look, which type of democracy are you talking about? Without opposition, modern democracy is inconceivable. I've done nothing other than to provide an equal opportunity, equal chance for all.
Okay.
And that was why in Cross River, today APC, CPC, they won elections. And so, when President Jonathan came on a campaign in, Cross River, following the failure of the PDP to do a proper primary. Look, haven't sent directors to go and monitor the primaries, which is the greatest problem affecting our democracy. And the PDP failed to do the primary. I endorsed that all of them to the governor will not participate in that election.
You said the politicians
and so, now you need to get that right, because you are accusing me now. I said, I'm the only one who did that.
Who's
and the matter, I had to go to court. And they said I was against PDP. But when Jonathan now came to Cross River State on a campaign, or some leaders of the PDP, one after the other, live television, I was getting calls from all over the world. Are you safe? Are you safe? A sitting government, the President Jonathan was there. This is what they are saying about you, that you are against the PDP, you are against the... I said, I'm not against anybody. When it came to Jonathan's time to speak, the President never joined them in all the things they said. Late Oroto Douglas called me later in the night. I said, Igini, we are proud of you. The President said, going to do your work, that he never appointed you, another person, to do the bidding of the PDP. PDP led protest in my office. So in Cross Akwa Ibom State, when I was posted to Akwa Ibom State, I go, look, I have no business with government house. As I speak to you today, on the 5th of September, I was posted to Akwa Ibom State. Up to this moment, I have never entered the home of a human being. This is 2020. 2020, I've never stepped into the home of any human being in Akwa Ibom State. When I got there, the people you mentioned, this man, he's an APC man. They brought him here to remove PDP. Because they said he was taken to Osun State. PDP suffered in 2013. Ralph Aregbesola and what's his name? Omishori.
Iyola Omishori.
Oh, he was taken to Imo State. I was in charge of Imo, concluding the election in both in 2011 and 2015. To conclude, when there were crisis of confidence, I moved in there. PDP suffered electorally by the vote of the people. I was also taken to Anambra State in 2012. The incumbent government suffered there. And so, these are all attempts to rationalize electoral misfortune by saying that you are produced. So when I got to Akwa Ibom, they said APC brought me to remove PDP, the same people, but merely they switch to the other side. What is narrative?
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much, Mike Igini. We'll take a short break now. When we return, the conversation will continue.
Thank you.
We'll be right back. It's still the morning show here on Arise News.
Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. Mike Igini, the INEC resident Electoral Commissioner in Akwa Ibom State, is still here with us in our studio looking into a number of issues. And you've said quite a lot, and I want to go back to a statement that you made where you said politicians are not ready for good elections. You've also said the INEC are also complicit and that you're one of the people who has stood forward and also come forward to say what INEC is complicit of. So how confident are you, or how do you feel about the elections we have coming up in 2023? Do you think we're ready to conduct good elections? What is your assessment on how that's going to go, given everything so far, and the fact that we don't have an electoral reform bill that is signed into law?
Thank you. Yes, the point should be restated that whereas the Commission has its past, versus 2011, since 2011, under the leadership of Professor Atari Jega and the current chairman, Professor Yakubu, INEC is the most innovative and the most improved organization in this country. But going forward, the problems of yesterday, of overtime, are remain the problem of today. And that has to do with the attitude of the political class. They are the ones who will train thugs. Before the 2019 election, there were reports everywhere about arms build-up across the country. Who are those responsible? Is that INEC? It's not INEC.
So what can be done to curtail the excesses of the political class?
Very many political elites you see in our country who are in public office are supposed to be in jail for electoral offenses. You see, in criminology, it is clear, it is stated, that a rewarded act will be repeated. What society does to make progress is to try as much as possible to reduce or to confine deviants and not to bring them into public space. We have wrong character. People who have no philosophical insight to what leadership is all about. With the local government, we're everywhere. There's a kind of people you see. We have got to a level, and this is dangerous, where thugs are now taking over. You just talked about Imo State. What kind of society are we? That people who are supposed to protect society, they are seen side by side with thugs. It's embarrassing. Do you know that in Nigeria, you have association of thugs network across Nigeria? Those who have helped to manipulate the regulation over the years, they are already now in government. Thugs are already in government.
Can you name some of them?
Local government,
you know?
Just for insights.
You know,
as somebody who has been involved.
You have also been involved. You also have also been involved. All right?
Well.
It's not about name calling here. What I'm telling you is everywhere in Nigeria.
Fair point.
We now have thugs who are members, a councillor, local government chairman. They are in the House of Assembly in some states who are the leaders of thugs. So a country where election has become a crude contest in the deployment of force. It's an unviable one.
Well, occasionally we hear that, you know.
And so I just talked about Imo now. Look at what happened yesterday. Talking about attack. The collation process was ongoing. How can the police come around there and thus doing those nonsense they were doing? Having regard to the provision of section paragraph 15 of the Constitution of the Fatherland that donated exclusively to the Independent National Electoral Commission as the only body in this country that had the power to organize, to undertake, and to supervise elections in our country.
You see,
why should that happen? You should have allowed the process to be completed. Then let anybody, of course, the refrain today that go to court. You know, we are now come to a country where those who do the wrong thing are the first telling you to go to court. Because my colleague in the bench, I feel bad all the time because the noble profession is beyond that of bread and butter.
Well, definitely many Nigerians. And
I'm worried about that.
Many Nigerians
people do the wrong thing, they are the ones telling you to go to court.
Many Nigerians would like to see electoral offenders, you know, apprehended.
That is the way we should go. That's where we should go.
But, you know, you've been criticizing the bench, so you probably do not trust the judiciary as it is. But will you recommend the establishment of special courts to deal with electoral offenses, as has been recommended by some people?
Look, I was a resource person in the last effort headed by Namani. I was very clear. I said, one of my recommendations, I think it also was featured there, and in my book, The Theory and Practice of Elections Management, I advocated for what he called a codex, interpretation codex, so that, because not all judges understand the process of election. They don't even understand.
Yeah, but you recommend
so a codex,
special courts.
Yes. Now, a special code, there are two things you need to do here. We've heard about establishment of the Electoral Offenses Commission. The moment you set up a commission, it now becomes a problem. Who will become the chairman? Who will become the secretary? We are back again. The commission has only been that. Look, you could have special courts in the 6 geopolitical zones. And some judges, based on their background, their worldview, their background, their bent, should not be selected to be in those special courts. Or alternatively, we can give all the courts in Nigeria, once an electoral offense is committed in any jurisdiction, just as we have classified election matter as sui generis, that we attended to of a class of its own, electoral offense should be seen as a class of its own because political corruption, electoral corruption is the foundation of all corruption. And so,
which is what Transparency International is saying.
I made that recommendation a long time ago. There's nothing I'm saying that I've not said before. We need to do that. Because if we don't, 2023, from the character, from what we see today, is going to be the mother of all political war. Because as it is now, our politics lacks intellectualism. Our politics lacks intellectualism. Before the 2019 election, I delivered lectures across the country. In fact, I was given the privilege by the chairman to speak to the Nigerian Guild of Editors event in Atasaba before the 2019 election. And I was clear. The things I said in 2003, before 2003 election, 2007, I repeated them. And I said, look, this country, to make progress, is not about religion. It's not about ethnicity. It should be about those issues that matter to the Nigerian people. And that, like the situation, the model in South Korea, we change the situation there. That there must be a compulsory debate, conversation on the issue of that matter to the people. Education, health, employment. These are the issues that matter. And nobody should get to anywhere on the basis of, I am an honorable man, I am an Ishakrima, I am an Anomama, I am an Igbo, I am this. No way. limit them to those debates. And that's what happened in South Korea. When the issues were now narrowed down to the key issue that mattered to the people, those who are not supposed to be in public office, who have so much in their pocket but nothing upstairs, who are in charge of political parties, they went to Oxford, they went to Harvard to get the best to come to take over the party. That's what they did. That changed the situation in South Korea. And because, you see, if you want to see how well an organization is doing, go and look at the recruitment policy. Who are the people we are recruiting into leadership position? What are their values? How can democracy really survive? Because for democracy to survive, you must also first have democrats. And you all know that democracy is not a product. It's not a final product you graft into a society. Democracy is a dynamic process. It has to do with values. It has to do with principles, practices that are nurtured, that must be enriched by elites that themselves have value that have been applauded. What are the values of our elite? As we speak today, who are our role models? A society that has no role model is an unviable one. Is it the ones that are working with thugs? Those working with thugs? Or those who are coming from one courtroom to the other? Are they our role model? If I ask any of you here, which I did to some of my colleagues a few 2 months ago, I don't want to mention the names now. I mentioned the names of about 10 politicians. And I said, of the 10 people I mentioned, who among them do you want to be a role model to your son? All of them said, no one of them can be role model.
So would you like to answer that?
You understand?
You refused.
All right. You know, I hold a public office, and I'm also mindful of some of the things in terms of where I should say them. All right? But you and I, we all know them. They're all over the place, making life difficult for every one of us. They are secure their own life outside this country. But right here, they don't want it to work. Let me tell you, the way they jump from one party to another party, the fact that people who were nobody, but on the basis of their involvement in one, at least the main two political parties we have today in Nigeria, they can easily abandon this party. It means that if they are through with Nigeria, they have finished Nigeria, and they see the next country to go to, they will move away. They don't care.
Let's begin to summarize.
And so, by way of summary, the point being made here is that we have developed procedures, processes to secure the sanctity of the vote. And that was why, if you look, for instance, now, you see time there was where we talk about unknown this, unknown that. If you look at what you call postman at ad hoc staff today, as a presiding officer, where you are, the polling units that you are posted, the code number is there. Your telephone number is there. Who is working there? I know that. I sit in my office and I can tell what's going on.
How are the
Beyond that, if you look
chosen? How are the presiding officers chosen?
Of course, we are taking from the youth corps members. That is those who are doing national service, those who will man the polling unit. The APO, the presiding officer, the poll manager, the APO 1, 2 are all from there. Then you now have the next categories of persons, which are from the university community. That is for the collation and the returning. But we already have a problem with that now. Some of our colleagues from the academia, look at what they are doing, even manipulating figures. Some professors in University of U, I am going to prosecute them. The file is ready. There must be a consequence for wrongdoing.
We need to wrap up.
And so, when you say you are rounding up, why you are rounding up?
Before we do that.
But you need to know that these are things we have developed. You see here, RAC activity compliance matrix.
No, in
There's
line,
nothing you can do.
No, in line with this.
And you cannot. They are attacking INEC. Look at Carida. Look at Carida, Ruben.
No, I know.
Section 160 of the Constitution. All right? Section 52 of the Oath Act that was signed on the 28th of March 2014 before the election says that voting under this act shall be in accordance with the procedure determined by Independent National Electoral Commission.
Well, quickly. We have just a minute. We have just a minute to go.
20 seconds.
Oh, it's just 20 seconds.
Gotta say goodbye.
Okay. I would have loved to ask you, what would you like to see in terms of electoral reform? If you can just list it one by one, because we don't have more time.
we've got to deal with the issue about party primaries. And so there are ongoing efforts at the amendment to deal with that. Very good. 2, we need to have special courts in the 6 geopolitical zones so that as we commence the process of registration, all offenders will be taken to those courts. In fact, that's the Reiki. Number 3, we need to have a conversation this year as to what constitutes whether thugs we have to have a prominent role in our elections, or we should the expanding role of the courts, because right now the court appear to be security and the courts are now appear to take over the job of INEC.
That's all we can take. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for
coming to the morning show.